The purpose of this video is to introduce a working demonstration of a responsibility-based incident system. There are two key features of the system which make it valuable. Number one, the system is objective, and number two, the system could be implemented in software. This race takes place at Phoenix Road Course using the Mazda MX-5. Before the racing begins, I would like to provide an overview of the key components. The incident breakdowns later in the video will reinforce these points. The fundamental principle of the system is the use of the racing line as a neutral zone between two cars that are competing for position. Evaluation begins at corner entry. Corner entry is defined as the point that the preferred racing line begins to curve away from the outside of the track and toward the corner. There are two key situations at corner entry. Situation 1, the trailing car has not gained position on the leading car. This is defined at the corner entry point if the nose of the trailing car has not reached the rear axle of the leading car. In this case, the leading car can take the racing line or any desired line through the corner. In situation 2, the trailing car has gained position on the leading car. This is defined at the corner entry point when the nose of the trailing car has reached the rear axle of the leading car. Note that when this occurs, the spotter of the lead car will call out "car inside" or "outside" as appropriate. At this point, the racing line becomes a buffer zone between the two cars until one of the cars can complete the pass. If a car crosses the preferred racing line and contacts the other car, the car that crossed the line will be awarded responsibility points for the contact. The car that held its side of the line gets no points. And to emphasize, under the responsibility award system, only the responsible car gets points. The second principle of the responsibility award system is that the responsibility for contact with a rear bumper belongs to the trailing car. One exception to this would be when the lead car suddenly slows down, otherwise known as checking up. And now on to the racing incidences that occurred at Phoenix Road Course. Okay, let's let this one play through at full speed and then we'll break it down. Alright, here we are entering the corner prior to where the incident happened, and the lead car has quite a gap on the trailing car. And the lead car taking the preferred line here, relatively speaking, on the preferred line through this corner. And okay, so the lead car is way to the inside of the preferred line. And this is corner entry. In fact, I could back it up to this point here, and this is really where the lead car has reached corner entry, which is where the preferred line starts to turn into the corner. So the lead car has several car lengths on the trailing car and has chosen the inside of the racing line. Now, if you look forward through this corner at the racing line, there is absolutely no room to the inside of the racing line to make a pass. So any car hoping to overtake the lead car would need to complete the pass on the outside of this corner unless they had gained position on the lead car prior to corner entry, which is not the case here. So as we continue forward, you can see the trailing car is not, maybe he realizes his mistake too late, but he's not even trying to make the corner at this point. He had run over the curb here at the inside and then just runs directly into the back of the lead car. So this one's pretty easy to call by a human being looking at this, but the computer would just award responsibility here to the trailing car. Okay, we'll play this through at full speed, then break it down. Okay, so lots of action going on here in this corner, but we want to pay attention here to the red car and the purple car. So these are the two cars involved in the initial incident. So here upon corner entry, you can see the lead car has quite a gap on the trailing car as they enter the corner, and the lead car therefore owns the racing line through this corner. And with the wall on the inside, the lead car is going to end up right on the racing line as they enter this corner. So let's play this through. Now the lead car moves to the inside of the racing line, but that's almost irrelevant at this point because the trailing car has no position on the lead car at all. So the lead car really just owns this corner at this point in time. And as we continue through here, we can see that the lead car is checking up because there's a car ahead of him. These cars are really interesting because they have brake lights, so you can see what's going on. But of course, the computer system, I mean, it could be aware of that information, but it's sort of irrelevant unless the lead car is checking up in a dramatic fashion. But anyhow, in this case, the lead car, the purple car, still has plenty of clearance on the trailing car, and the trailing car just runs right into the back of the lead car. So here, responsibility would be awarded to the trailing car for running into the back of the lead car. As we continue forward, let's move to the next car involved in this incident. So here, now the number 9, not even on his brakes, which is just amazing. There's somebody spinning out in front of him. Now he hits his brakes. In any event, he's going to run right into the purple car. So responsibility would be awarded to the 9, the trailing car in this case, for hitting the 6. And then if we move back again here with this car, if you watch him, just interesting to watch. There's incident developing up ahead, and cars are spinning. And at what point does this driver get on his brakes? Oh, there he hit his brakes, but he thinks, hey, maybe there's going to be an opening. I don't want to lose any positions. Let me just tap my brakes just like I'm making a normal corner. Well, a little bit, but in any event, this driver could clearly have slowed down and avoided this contact. Again, that's completely irrelevant to this system. So as this driver continues forward and makes contact with that car, you can see the damage showing up on the orange car here, indicating contact. So responsibility would be awarded to the blue and white car for this contact. So the orange car would not have gotten any incident points in this case, and 3 other cars would have ended up with responsibility awards. Okay, we'll play this one through at full speed, then break it down. right, so the clip begins here well before where the incident happens, and that's mainly just to note how much space is between these two cars and what's the driving pattern in between this point and the incident point, which is somewhat informational for people watching the video, but it's irrelevant for the system. So let's just watch this at full speed here for a bit. I guess at this point you see both cars are on the racing line as they exit this corner. There's a huge gap between both cars. Now the lead car gets a little bit out of control and overcorrects and, deviates quite a bit from the racing line, but still keeps his car under control. He's going to lose a little bit of speed here, which means the trailing car is going to close up. Now the lead car gets right back on the preferred line, or the racing line, as you would expect, but the trailing car has closed the gap a little bit. But at this point, the lead car has a comfortable advantage over the trailing car, so no challenge for position at this point. Now you can see both cars are getting on the brakes here. Again, braking points are irrelevant to the system, but there is no challenge for position, so the lead car gets to choose his line through this corner. At this point in time, the lead car is somewhat outside the racing line, so we'll continue forward here in slow motion. So the lead car, again, owns this corner. The trailing car has no position on the lead car this deep into the corner. And as we continue forward, the trailing car just runs into the back corner of the lead car. So responsibility is awarded to the trailing car. Okay, we'll play this through at full speed and then break it down. Alright, so here we are at the corner prior to the corner where the incident occurs, and the lead car has several car lengths on the trailing car. Both cars taking the racing line through the course here. Everything is looking quite normal. Now the trailing car has closed up quite a bit on the lead car, and we could see there that the lead car had braked or for whatever reason, but they're in a little bit of a straightaway here. Now if we continue forward to the point of corner entry, it's right here where the racing line is starting to turn into the corner. So the lead car is on the racing line, somewhat to the outside. The trailing car clearly is on the inside of the racing line, and there's lots of space here between the racing line and the edges of the track. And the trailing car here at corner entry is almost at the point where he has position. It's hard to tell. Looking at this, the computer would be able to know precisely where, at what point on the track, that the trailing car gains position on the leading car. But you can see here, shortly after corner entry, clearly the trailing car has position on the lead car. So at some point here shortly, the leading car's spotter would be saying car inside. So as we continue forward here, the trailing car, the orange car in this case, maintaining his line inside the racing line. Now the lead car, who was on the outside, is starting to arc his car in, and continues to arc his car in as if he were on the track by himself. And the overtaking car, the orange car in this case, is nicely holding his line on the inside. You can see he's headed right towards the apron on the inside. So he's doing everything correctly here. the black car, which was the lead car, is turning in, and at this point, it's looking at this as a human observer. You can see that it's quite an angle here that the lead car has to get through this corner. But in any event, the overtaking car not only had gained position, but at this point is ahead of the formerly trailing leading car, the number 4, and now at the point where the trailing car gains position and the lead car spotter would say car inside, that's the point where the racing line becomes the neutral zone. So if one car stays on his side or her side of the racing line and the other car crosses over and makes contact, then that car crossing over is the car that is awarded responsibility. So in this case, the orange car maintains all 4 tires on his side of the racing line, and the black car crosses over and makes contact. So in this case, the responsibility award would go to the number 4. Okay, this is going to be an interesting one. Let's let it play through and then we'll break it down.
I got myself.
Okay, so let's get it started here. So it's interesting, the 6 car here is entering the corner on the outside of the racing line, and then as we continue forward, and even has position on the 6 at this point, but gets, slows down enough, hits his brakes, crosses over. Now you can see up ahead that the orange car is starting to slide, but of course the driver of the 6 probably wouldn't see that, but I think the driver of the blue car does see that. But in any event, the scoring system wouldn't be taking into account any of this. But you can see here that the blue car is, he's on his brakes. He sees what's going on. He's slowing down. Now the blue car slowing down. He was turned toward the inside of the corner, but he's going to correct and move out. The black car probably didn't see much of this, the number 6, but in any event, this is no man's territory right here. He's overtaking a car. Probably didn't see this happening. Has nowhere to go. Can't turn inside because he'd hit the wall. Can't turn in outside. He would, just have to be on his brakes at this point and hope he can stop. But he's not on his brakes, right? Oh, now he's on his brakes. Okay, so hopefully he saw that car sitting sideways a little bit earlier, but maybe that was just human response time. In any event, there's no getting out of this. The 6 runs into the 3. So as this safe responsibility award system is currently proposed, this would end up being responsibility awarded to the 6 for running into the 3. Now, I think in this case there could be some special rules put into place that say if one car is basically stopped on the track or pointing backwards, that maybe make special cases, but I wouldn't suggest any such complication. This is sort of a unique situation. Probably doesn't develop on the track very often. So it's, I think, better to just err on the side of caution with the system and just say if you run into somebody else, then you are responsible for the contact. And I think that's the sentiment that I read in the forums all the time, that we should all be able to avoid incidents. So the system awarding responsibility to the 6 in this case would be really, the 6 wouldn't feel too good about it, but I think he would understand, or hopefully would understand. But in any event, responsibility awarded to the 6. Okay, let's let this one play through and then we'll break it down. Okay, I think this one's pretty clear cut. You can see that both drivers are sort of jockeying for position, but the lead car is on the racing line as you would expect. No challenge for position at this point. Both cars are going down the racing line, setting up the corner. Both cars go to the outside of the racing line. The lead car gets on his brakes, and the trailing car is just going to run right into the back bumper. So responsibility would be awarded to the trailing car here in this case.